Hello and welcome to Nitro Fishing. We're here today at the beautiful Woodlands Lake at Thirsk, and we're going to pose the question, is there really a method to the method? So what we've done is we've grabbed two of our key anglers, Jamie Wild, the bagger from Barnsley, past Parkdean Masters master, and Jack Barrick, the silent assassin of Woodlands, who's just virtually unbeatable on this venue at some days. And we're going to delve deep into their thinking, and what we're going to do is we're going to pose like a 5-hour scenario whereby we monitor what they do hour by hour to see if there really is a method to the method. So what is method feeder fishing, and in fact more importantly, what is a method feeder? Basically it is a form or a way of being able to deliver a little tiny parcel of bait, very tight, with the hook link inside it, so the fish has no choice really. Like if it goes down and mouths the free offerings of pellet or ground bait or whatever you put into the feeder, it has no option on the suck-in to actually take the bait in as well. So it's a very neat way of delivering bait very tightly and accurately to a certain spot within your lake. Yeah. Now there are loads of different types. I've just brought along a few of the different manufacturers today. I mean, there's hundreds on the market, you know, most of them really good ones. We are actually in the process of developing our own for Nitro as I speak. The two differences really, in fact three differences. You have the flatbed type, where you're putting this into a mould, and we'll show you that a little bit later on in the video. And then you have what we call a hybrid type, where you're putting the feed into it and squeezing it by hand. And then outside of that, the difference between those two is that one of them is elasticated. Now that allows you to catch a lot bigger fish really than perhaps you could manage on light gear, because the elastic, along with your soft rod, absorbs all the shock as the fish is pulling away from you as you're playing it. So in a nutshell, a method feeder is a very neat way of delivering a tight parcel of bait extremely accurately. So given a 5-hour scenario, yeah, what's going through your mind as regards bait and what you need and why?
Well, I'm one of these, I always prepare more than I use, because with pellets they take the time to soak, but I'm very simple when it comes to method feeder fishing.
Okay.
I believe in flavours, and I believe your up bait is really important, but I love micros and permitted where you can use them, if not, you know, with fishery. We are at Woodlands here today at Thirsk, and it is fishery pellets, but we are allowed to use some of our own today for this video. So, very simple for me. My favourite, me always go to pellets, the 2mm carp and coarse bait tech pellets. I have bought some fishery 4mm today, because I've heard on the grapevine they do like these up here, so that'll be my mix today. 70% them, 30% 4mm. But with everything, this is my favourite additive, and I just believe that it keeps your pellets sticky throughout the day.
Right.
You know, also adding that attraction.
Okay.
So
just going back to the pellets really quickly then. So given the choice wherever you go really, it would just be the 2mm micros?
2mm
right.
micros.
Right.
I just think it keeps them picking at your feeder till they actually find your up bait. Obviously you have to change your up baits, but they just work for me.
Right.
You know.
What would you prep at the beginning then? You say you usually prep more than you need.
I always do, because if you run out...
What are we talking about? 1 pint, 2 pints?
Yeah, 2 pints. Probably, you know, a third, half a bag, maybe 2/3 of a bag of them,
yeah.
and a quarter of 4mm to go in. I'd rather throw them away than have to run out in March trying to prepare them, because it never works.
And how do you prep them?
Right. First of all, a pellet wetter. Most important thing you can have for this type of fishing. So, I get my wetter. I've got my water ready, but what I do with my water, I never measure, I'm not too particular, but I get a good squirt,
right.
good douse, yeah.
Right, and you don't do these at home?
I never do, because
Right.
in winter I prepare them at home because water's cold and I think it takes more time for them to absorb water,
Right, okay.
take water on. But in summer, water's warm, they're done with in 5 minutes,
Okay.
you know, and you might have to go back to them. But yeah, so this is what I do. Move that just out of the way. So I've opened these already, but I'll show you what my mix would be. So I'm going to get me micros. Now I know that micros take less time to soak than what your 4mm pellets take time. I all like 2 mils, 2 minutes, 4 mils, 4 minutes. That's how I work it. But in summer, when it's a bit warmer, I still think that 4 minutes is too long. I'd rather add a bit of water than I'm go to like a slop.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm going to put rest of this bag in there. They were like probably 2/3 of a bag. So then I've got the fishery pellets, which are 4 mils, and I don't want a lot of these in. I just want them as a bit of a standout attraction sort of thing, you know, something else in my peg, especially if a venue with any skimmers in. This takes some time more to eat with. It's micros, they will pick at them. So all in me pellet wetter. So
Right, just go back to the skimmer thing, sorry. You say with a venue with any skimmers in?
yeah, well, I know like this lake, it has got a lot of silvers in, you know, ranging
Right.
from 6 ounce to a pound, which, you know, lovely fish and they are worth catching. But I'm here to target carp,
Yeah.
to try and win a match. So I'm wanting to put a bed of bait down where I can, there's always something there for, if you're not catching straight away, I do loose feed of at top, but I will get into that a bit later on. But like, I want a bed of bait to always
Right,
be
so
in
the
my
4
peg.
mils basically.
4 mils, yeah, they're
Right,
like a target carp bait.
Right, okay,
But also I've got my micros.
Fine.
So I've got my Scopex liquid, which, I mean, everybody has their own choices. That is my all-time gutter liquid. I will never ever fish a method without it.
Right, now in my book, that's just an out-and-out breamer tractor.
True, totally agree, and it has been for many years, hasn't it? But it's just, you know, it gives that yellow tinge to your pellets.
Yeah.
Again, somewhat different. It leaves like a bit of slicking water, which I always think draws fish in. Whereas, like, for example, here, it's not the biggest of lakes, and everybody doing the same thing. I want to be that different one.
So something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, to as best I can get it.
Okay.
So that's my belief, but everybody to their own. So I get my pellets.
Yeah.
They're mixed up straight in me pellet wetter. Which I must add, these pellet wetters are brilliant, aren't they?
Right.
Really good. So I'm going to leave them now to soak. I know I've got 4 mils in, but I am going to actually leave them for probably 2 minutes max.
Right, okay.
You know, I'm not to seconds, but roughly 2 minutes. But while they're soaking, I can take you on to me updates. Now, same again, I see people on bank with yellow afters, orange, you know. I think if you get it into your head and get that specific colour, what works for you, it works everywhere.
Right.
You know, everybody has their choices, but I think nowadays the clicking on these carp are like clicking onto what's happening, and something different, I believe's taking on.
But is the hook bait just not a thing that is on the feeder, and by association of the fish going down and mouthing all the bits and pieces, it's just taking it in?
I do believe that, but I mean, when you chuck in and you get a bite after seconds, I believe that's just coming at all your feeder. But when you sat there and you're getting your little signs and they're grubbing about, and then your rod goes, you know that's reason they've took that, they've picked that up bait up. If not, obviously you won't get a bite. So
bottom baits, wafters,
bottom bait, the wafters. No, wafters. I never use pop-ups on a method feeder. I've tried it, and I just think you foul up too many fish. These now is all I'll ever have on my side tray. I will not use anything else. I've stuck with them, and one will work better than another, but I know they work for me, so I've got full confidence in them. And they're the criticals, and they are in a 5 mil. They're the strawberry and cream and the rhubarb and custard.
Right.
Now,
why 5 mil? Why not 4 mil? Why not 6 mil?
Yeah,
Why not 8 mil?
same again. I want that standout, but I don't want something too daft.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying they don't work on places, but these carp, what you know, especially match carp, what's getting caught regular. I just think you want something that stands out for a bite, but not stands out that like a sore thumb on bottom. Now, like today, this water, it's coloured, which that's what you'd expect. I like these when it's more harder and you're trying to catch an odd fish. If I had to go to a venue where I was fishing for 10 bites, they'd be me go-to bit. On like here where it's a bit coloured, these, and it's not just myself who said it, these are my favourite wafters. And I've never been when I've always seen them, I thought, you know, these will not work. Two different colours, they look a bit, but honestly, success I've had on them and what I've heard people having success, they just work.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's because it's new.
What about we'll come on to the tackle later on, but you've just picked one size. Are you using that with any size of hook? Does it matter?
No, for method feeder fishing, again, fishery rules, I will always use a 12 hook.
Right, okay.
A QM1, straight 12 hook. And I just think you get that bit of presentation.
Yeah.
I know people use 10s, some use 14s, but for me, I love a size 12 QM1. And that's all I have ready tied in my hook box. Yeah. You know, all prepared with pins on, ready to go. You can't be sat tying hooks in the middle of matches.
We'll come to those bits in a second. So back to the pellet then.
Right, I'm going to get these out now. Yeah. So they've probably had a bit longer really, but what I like to do, this will be my tub that my pellets stopping in the day, but I do like to take them out and put them in a big tub to get as much air into them as I can. As you can see, watch.
Yeah.
They're done already, they're brilliant. But, and another good thing about these micro pellets, if you look there, Martin, the stoppers and all.
Right.
They don't break down into little, they're still a full pellet.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. If I want a pellet, when I see people, they put them on the method and it looks like ground bait and not pellets.
Yeah, because they're completely mashed.
Yeah, and you're winding and it's all stuck on your feeder. That's not working. Right. But once, I'll just move these. Right, I'll show you in here. So, they're me pellets, as you would. You can see there, they've still stopped as a full old pellet, and that is what I want. They're not a cheap branded pellet, they're a proper gold pellet, which they're what we're looking for. So, they're going to sort now. I've got probably half an hour left to tattle up.
Right.
They'll be perfect when I come to fishing.
Right. So you're just letting the air get to them.
That's it. Bit of air, just keep turning them over, let them air up, and they'll go into their own. But what I do, this water here, what I've been soaking them in, I'll keep that to one side there, and if they do get a bit dry, never ever tip water on them. Just get your hand, chuck it in, and give them a stir till you get them back to your consistency. But here's some I prepared earlier, if I can find them.
Well, we'll come back to them.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to pop across and see Jack.
Yeah.
And see what his preparation is like.
Brilliant.
Right, we've looked at what Jamie's done as regards prepping bait. So let's see if there's any differences with what Jack does. So, prepping up for a 5-hour match, what would normally be your procedure?
4 mils on the method, really.
Right, 4 mils.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I might use micros at the start, just to get a few fish there, and then once the fish are there, I'll move on to the 4s.
Right. So straight in with a bigger pellet. Right. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting because I see a lot of people on fisheries, pleasure fishing or match fishing, and usually it's micros wherever you go. So, what makes you want to use a 4 mil?
I think on a 4 on a method you can't get it wrong. See, if you get them a bit too wet, they still stick and they still break off. Whereas micros, you can find if you get them a bit too wet, sometimes it can stay on the feeder. Sometimes you can cast out, you reel it in, and they're still there. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I think these they just break off the feeder no matter what, even if they're a bit too wet, too dry. And I think if you look, when you have them in your hand, and then you have them on the bottom with your bait on, I just think pellets.
Right. So stand out a bit better.
Yeah.
Bigger item to pick up.
I think so.
Yeah. Right. do you not think there's any fear of overfeeding?
Not, depends which feeder. I use a small 15 grams, so when you've got these, it's literally, you've got about that much each time you're chucking out.
Right.
So it's perfect amount of bait with these 4 mils on.
Okay, so it's more about quality as opposed to quantity.
With the micros, sometimes if you use it all day, you can just tend to just grub it, you know, spread it everywhere.
Right, I've seen that.
Whereas
I
the
have seen
pellets,
that.
It's just a lot cleaner. Everything can be cleaner, no less liners. It just seems better.
Okay,
It works better
interesting.
for some reason.
So 4 millers, not micros. Very interesting. So how do you prep them?
Well, these don't take a lot of water at all. You've got about 2 handfuls of water.
Right, so no pellet wetter here at all?
No, I don't use pellet
Right,
wetter.
just a couple of handfuls of water on top of the
Yeah.
pellet. What have we got in there? A couple of pints, pint and a half?
2 pints.
2 pints, right.
It's just full bag straight in.
Yeah,
2 handfuls of water, mix them,
Yeah.
and I'll leave them for about 15 minutes. And
Right.
then literally all it'll need after that is just one more, and then
Yeah.
that's about done.
right.
Don't take much
so
water,
what
these.
consistency are you looking for? What's the magic
I want it so
magic squeeze?
when you grab them,
Yeah.
they'll stick,
Yeah.
and then they'll hold together for a few seconds, and then
Yeah.
they should just start to break
Fall
off.
apart.
So you want it so when you cast out, it's going to hit the water, go down, sit
Yeah.
there, and just slowly just break off into your pile.
Okay. Right, so are these prepped ones then, Jack?
These are what
Yeah?
I've done last night. These are
Right,
actually...
so just give us an example of what you're talking about. Right, so I can still see this whole, yeah, and I mean that's a good breakdown. Very quick as well. Now, you just said these are ones I prepped last night,
Yeah.
so are you an advocate of prepping at home or
Well-
prepping on the day?
These are actually coppins, so these ones, I do these in the fridge overnight.
Yeah,
These, I just do them on the bank. They literally, you can have them done in 10-15 minutes. So I'd usually get my box set up before your nets. I just
I
start
mean, they're
doing
starting
these.
to go already, aren't they?
Yeah,
Look,
they're starting to.
You can see the consistency there, look. Wow, okay.
Just leave it another 5-10 minutes and add you another water and they'll be right.
Okay, what about hook baits?
Hook baits.
Now, Jamie's gone for a wafter.
Well, I like to use a pellet. I like to use a red pellet, either 6 mil or an 8 mil. But truth, I just use one of them in a band.
Wow,
It's perfect.
Right. Okay, I mean, we'll come on to the hook link and the setup later on, but
Yeah.
can we just have a little view of those, that we can see those? So, little tiny red pellet.
Robin red,
And
6
what's
mil.
your belief as regards the hook bait? I mean, I challenged Jamie on this. Like, he's using quite a bright coloured wafter,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of saying, well, most of our viewers out there look at it and maybe think that coloured water, do they see it? Do they smell it? Or is it just a thing that's in amongst the
I think it's,
group of pellet?
it can be a bit of both. I think it's just these. If you look at every one, they're a perfect pellet. So once it's on the band, I think once it's just in there, mixed in with them, it's just in with your pellets perfect, do you know what I mean?
Right.
You can just sniff around and they'll find that 6 mil in with the 4 mils.
Right, so you think they can
It's
single those out?
I think so, yeah.
Right, okay, interesting.
If it's not them, I'll use one of these. Just a bit brighter.
Right, colours.
Yeah.
And what about summer, winter? Does this change much throughout the year? What are you doing as regards sort of like, you know...
The colour changes a lot in the winter. In the winter, I might go to a white.
Right.
A white or a pink.
Right.
Works well here.
Something a bit more visual, because
Yeah,
the water's
and
clearer.
The 4s tend to... I wouldn't use the 4s in
Right.
the winter. It tends to be a bit more micros.
Right, cutting the
Mic-
feed down a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Right,
I think
okay.
micros work a bit better.
Right. All right, let's go and have a look at the tackle and setup that Jamie's using.